Hey, welcome to Key Rants with Keaton and Manny. We generally like to talk about a lot of the things going on in our lives, rant about the things happening in our lives, and generally discuss a bunch of nerdy shit that we both enjoy.
Yes, Warhammer has been one of the most talked about topics, I feel like.
Has been.
And you sent me a list of your Necrons, and I have to go through it and then make an army.
That's true.
I started looking at like the wiki pages of it, and I could see some like design stuff like that. What are the classical like build outs? Like when you're thinking of your army, think of the amount of points. You know what I mean? Like that's what I mean.
So a very standard game typically is 2,000 points. We'll probably do a match at 1,000 or 500. The game's less balanced at those points. Some units are far better because, like, for example, some of Necron's tankiest, most high damage units are generally better at low point games because there's significantly lower chances that someone brings enough firepower to deal with you. But typically, yes, it's about 2,000 points, which, depending on the units you take, could be anywhere between 8 to 14 units.
Okay, 8 to 14.
Yeah, that's typically depends on the pointage. If you were trying to shoot for just like as many units as possible, you could get more than that.
Gotcha.
You could get more than 14 easily. But in terms of trying to have as many like good or useful units, probably 14 is the highest number of units you're going to hit.
Okay. How do you like make up the play style? Is that something that you kind of just think about as you buy stuff, or like you is a little different because you have every single piece.
I have a lot, so I can just kind of do whatever. But generally, the first thing that will inform maybe what units you're going to look at is the detachment you choose to play. Necrons have maybe 9 or 10 detachments, so there are maybe 9 or 10 different play styles that you can build your army around.
And so there are like 14 pieces each for these detachments?
So you'll choose like 14 units.
Okay.
Ideally with most of them playing around the detachments, because not all some detachments will affect most of your army, and then other detachments might affect a quarter of your army. Maybe it's a really good effect, but maybe it only affects a quarter of them. I typically choose a very specific detachment called the Canoptic Court. I like it because its playstyle is its detachment rule is like very easy to remember for me.
Okay.
It's very simple, and it's literally just, if you have a majority of the primary objectives, every single time a unit with a specific keyword, which typically tends to be most of my list, anytime a unit with that keyword attacks, they can completely re-roll the hit. So I just roll the hit, everything that misses, I can roll again.
Gotcha.
And that leads to me hitting a lot more often. And then past that, like, it just overall increases my lethality, my army's lethality, because I'm hitting a lot more.
Yeah.
So that's typically the detachment I choose. There's a number of detachments that allow you to like teleport around, or
if you could hit me like your top 3 for your play style of the Necron detachments, what you got?
Top 3. Well, number 1, obviously, Canoptic Court.
Skip them. You already said them.
Sorry,
so give me a new 3.
Other than that.
That's your top.
Okay. Awakened Dynasty is probably one of the most popular. I don't typically play it because I play so much Canoptic Court, but it is probably one of the best.
Say it one more time. What was it called?
Awakened Dynasty.
Awakened Dynasty.
Its rule is, if you have a character model in your unit, your entire unit gets a +1 to hit. So on a scale of 2 to 6, going down 1, which is better, typically that's going to lead to more hits. Maybe not as many more hits as re-rolling your hits in Canoptic Court, but a lot of units will hit on 3s, so getting them to hit on 2s, where you're only missing on 1s, really high chance a lot of your units just hit. Because you're already incentivized to add characters to your units to buff them in various ways. So it's just an additional, like, oomph that helps your units. Outside of the Awakened Dynasty, let me think. There's the Star Shatter Arsenal.
Star Shatter Arsenal.
Yes.
These are crazy names. I love them.
Yes.
Keep going.
Awakened Dynasty is typically focused around infantry because most characters that can lead units are infantry characters. Star Shatter Arsenal is kind of on the flip side where it's mostly vehicles. So you got a lot of big models or big units that don't really lead each other, but they get various bonuses.
When it comes to the vehicles, do you have to have people to man the vehicles, or it's like that's its own piece?
The vehicle as a model, as a unit, comes with the pilot.
Okay,
there are some vehicles that can transport models or units. Necrons have only one. Sorry, they technically have two transports. One of them is complete dog shit, and the other one is kind of dog shit. Necrons don't have the greatest transport options. Other armies have significantly better ones. But yes, typically our Star Shatter Arsenal, you'll run the Silent King, which is the primo Necron, because he's considered a vehicle unit. And then you would run him. Yeah, you run that army with a bunch of anti-tank like I think if you run it with like 2 Doomsday Arcs, which are the best anti-tough models in the army, if you run them with a couple of those, you have a lot of lethality. With 11th edition coming out, they've added dispositions to each detachment. I think I talked about that last time, but I don't know offhand what the disposition for Star Shatter Arsenal is, because that could change like how good of a detachment it is. With Canoptic Court, very simple, because it's the objective of the detachment is to hold majority objectives, and the primary objective of the disposition is to hold primary objectives. So it's fine. Awakened Dynasty, I don't know what that one is either. It's probably either the same as Canoptic Court, where it's primary objective focused, or it's probably Purge the Foe. So your objective is kill units, kill the enemy army. That's
probably the one that I would pick. As far as a disposition, that sounds like a.
If it is Purge the Foe, that'd be a fairly like simple detachment and disposition to have. Pretty straightforward. It just allows you to focus on like what units you want to run. For the third detachment, where it gets a little rough. One of the new detachments that I haven't had an opportunity to play yet, though I will be playing with Tyler probably next week. It's called the Cryptek Conclave. The Crypteks are essentially the scientists of the Necrons.
Oh, okay.
So that one gives a bunch of special abilities to Crypteks in the Cryptek units that they're leading, which it's kind of like Awakened, in the sense that instead of Awakened just being a broad, you have a character in this unit, they get a flat benefit. Cryptek Conclave, they mainly lead infantry units, but because they're a bunch of like scientists, they get additional additional benefits that allow them to like slap keywords on their units to make their units a lot more lethal. That's probably personally my next favorite detachment. Haven't got a chance to see how well it performs, especially into Tyler, who's going to be playing. He's going to be playing a lot of monster Tyranids, which might be a problem. Yeah.
Okay. When you map out your army personally, like your current setup, what is like how many vehicles do you have? Are you mainly running like what were the named characters? And
so with the Canoptic Court, I typically like to run my list that I usually call it is the Illuminor's Court. And that's because Illuminor Xerath is the strongest Cryptek. I should say the Canoptic Court runs off of the Cryptek keyword, so all the scientists, and the Canoptic keyword, which is all the little machines. Not necessarily, because Necron's all machines, but like helper bots, essentially. So I typically always run the Illuminor because he's insanely tanky with his stats. and he gives a buff to standard battle line units to make their shots deadlier and make shots coming at them less deadly. So he's a mainstay in my list typically. When it comes to vehicles, there's one vehicle in the Necron arsenal that is a canoptic vehicle, and that is the canoptic Doomstalker. The Doomstalker outside of the court is very mid. It's not the worst vehicle, but it is definitely not up there. In the canoptic court, it's actually really, really good because of the rerolls to hits.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually run 3 of those, the maximum number. Past that, I'll typically run 1 or 2. And right now in this case, I'm running 2 infantry units. 1 to be unkillable, ideally. Just put them on an objective and be like, you will not die.
Okay.
Or if they do die, require the opponent to put a lot of effort into killing them.
Yeah.
And then I'll have another infantry unit, which I'm only running because of the 11th changes. I'm running them with a Chronomancer because terrain got a change in 11th edition, where previously, if something tried to shoot you while you were hiding in a building, when you went to make your save roll, like after the hit roll, after the wound roll, when you went to make your save, it would make your save slightly better. Now, it makes the enemy's hit roll slightly worse. Except it's not their hit roll. It's like their ballistic score, which is just a fancy way of saying that can be coupled with hit roll modifiers. So Chronomancer has a -1 to hit from everything. The only thing that can bypass it is stuff that ignores modifiers. So when you put a Chronomancer in a building, suddenly you have a -2 to hit. A lot of things in the game, a lot of standard things, Space Marines usually being like the example since they're the most played army. A lot of Space Marines hit on 4s. So if they're shooting at a Chronomancer in a building and they don't have ignore modifiers, they're now hitting on 6s. They have to roll a 6 or they miss.
Sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
When you have done your tournaments, I don't know why I sound like that. When you ran your tournaments, do you mainly see those armies, the Custodes?
The Space Marines?
Yes.
I've seen a fair number of Space Marines, yeah. They have, of all the armies, they're the baby of GW. Like they're the poster child. They have probably the most detachments, and while it's Space Marines, when you go to make a list of Space Marines, you have like 8 different chapters you can choose from, and some of those chapters have unique detachments to them. So they have a lot of variety. Maybe not competitive variety. There are like maybe 2 or 3 detachments that are like really good, and everything else sucks.
Really?
But that's what I hear from the hyperbole, like
okay, gotcha.
of Space Marine.
That's like
players.
Mass opinion kind
Yeah,
of.
it's like, oh wow, these 2 or 3 detachments you play in comp, everything else, forget about it. Granted, with 11th edition, maybe that's changing because they've added more detachments. But yes, I've definitely not played against any Custodes in a tournament. I don't know if I've seen any Custodes in tournaments.
Oh.
Now, 10th edition might have been a little mean to them because
Really?
as the edition went further, people were complaining that it was becoming a little too lethal. A lot of armies were getting availability to either just high density like attacks, or just a lot of units had access to high damage attacks. Custodes are good as like a new player. They're a good starter army because you need barely any units for them.
Okay.
And they are typically extremely tough. Someone has to either have like a really like well-built army, or they need to be like skewed heavily towards anti-tank, because every single Custodes has the best save possible. They all have an invuln save, a standard invuln save, so at best you're forcing them to do a 50-50 on whether they take any damage at all. And then they all have like multiple wounds, and then it's a bunch of walking tanks. So I have not seen any Custodes because I think in competitive people don't. If you're playing into someone who knows how to play into them, it's gonna suck a little bit. One army that Tyler plays, Tyranids, might be getting a lot more play in 11th edition going in because they've Battle Shock as like a feature of the game as a I guess a status effect. It has been improved significantly, and that previously this was lame. Previously, if you battle shock someone, and this could happen for a variety of reasons, so a lot of units can just make you take a battle shock test. If you lost like a certain number of your models in a unit, you'd be forced to take a battle shock test. If you took it and you failed it, it was crippling because you couldn't use any stratagems. It essentially meant that unit right there, they are not going to get any out of pocket help. All they have is what you see before you. They're not going to get like a stratagem that gives them extra lethality or survivability or anything. And they have no objective control. If they were on an objective, that objective is no one's
still
right
free.
Now. Yeah, it's fully free. When a unit was battle shocked in 10th, when that player's turn came around at the start of the turn, it just went away. It just went away, which is really lame. In 11th edition, it stays now. At the start of the turn, now they have to make a test to pass it. They could end up making it, or that unit could be in a situation where it's unlikely to make its battle shock test. So for the rest of the game, it's just not able to be have stratagems used on it. It's not able to hold objectives.
So battle shock is a one time, and it's the rest of that round.
It's the rest of that round. Like you hit a unit with it, and if they fail their test, they're hit with it for essentially the rest of the round. In 10th edition, that just went away. In 11th edition, it will stay until you succeed. Instead of it going away automatically, you now have to succeed on the test in order to make it stop.
Is that in between rounds?
Yes. So like Tyranids, for example, they have an ability called Shadow in the Warp. It's part of their army rule. And essentially just means they unleash a psychic screech. It scares the shit out of everybody. Yeah. It's just like, it's in your head. It's not even like an audible thing. Like you're hearing it in your head. When that happens, every unit on the table, every enemy unit on the table has to make a battle shock test. They can only do this once a game. But the thing that's so good about it is if their units are near you, that worsens your roll for making a battle shock test. If you have a Nero Tyrant on the table, which is essentially a big brain boy, you have him on the table. When you do your shadow, on the warp, it makes that roll worse as well. And these can stack up to an extent so that it's a battle shock roll, I'll say. It's not a D6 roll, it's a 2D6 roll. And
I don't know what that means.
2 dice.
Oh, okay.
2 6-sided dice. What you need to roll depends from unit to unit. Whenever you make the roll, it's whoever has the best leadership in the unit, which typically is characters. If you have a character in the unit, their leadership is typically better. But in the case of Tyranids, if you have a unit next to them and you have a Nero Tyrant on the board, you're making their roll 2 worse. It can be as bad as 8 up, which is like, I think, a 35-40% chance of you succeeding that roll. If you fail that roll, you're kind of fucked. Just in the sense of like, you could be far away from the fight, just holding an objective. If you fail that roll, you now don't have that objective anymore. Your primary scoring is screwed. You now have to succeed on that. And maybe you do succeed on that next turn, but at the very least, it's fucking you over for a turn if you fail it.
Yeah.
And if you keep fucking it up, that could just be detrimental. Like, Tyranids as an army may not even need to go fuck with you, because if you're just scared and not controlling that objective, then it doesn't matter. Like, they can just like keep pushing like the main objectives and holding them.
How does moving the actual pieces per round go?
So typically there will be the start of the movement phase, in which case, because it's player, if it's like your turn, you get to move every unit that you choose to move. There are some units that have a benefit to standing still or moving barely, but you will choose every unit that you have on the table, how much you want to move them by, to a limit of how far they can move. They have on each character like sheet, every model sheet, it has a movement
Score.
Sure, yeah. It has a movement score telling you the maximum distance you can move them. So in your movement phase, you will go, I want to move that, I want to move that, I want to move that. Maybe I want that to stand still because it gets slightly better chance to hit if it stands still with its weapon. But I'm going to go ahead and move everything. The opposing player could choose to use some stratagems to like mess with you in your turn. But overall, it's your turn to just move everything you want to move. And then you would go into your shoot where you shoot everything you want to shoot.
Oh, okay.
And then you go into charge where you can charge anything you want to charge. Now,
what does charge mean?
So charging, so if you have a unit 6 inches away from one of my units, when you go into the charge phase, you're going to choose what units do I want to attempt to get into melee range with.
Oh, okay.
If you're like 6 inches away, you're going to roll 2d6. You need to get at least a 6. Another big change that came from 10th to 11th. In 10th edition, when you rolled, you had to choose who you were going to charge, and then you had to roll. If you rolled too low, you're fucked. You failed your charge roll. That's, oh well. You're not going to be fighting this turn, and go choose someone else to charge. In 11th edition, you can now roll, see how high you rolled or low, and then decide what is in range that I can charge. So it gives you a little bit of a benefit because if you have multiple options to choose from, but you don't know how far you're going to be able to charge, you can roll. Go, oh, I rolled high enough that I can go for the guys in the back instead of having to only fight the guys up front. Gives you a little bit more like freedom to choose. But the charge phase is purely just seeing who you can run into an enemy unit. After that, you go into the fight phase. Units that you charged in the charge phase will get a temporary modifier called Fights First. That modifier just means the Fights phase is split into 2 sections. The Fights First section and Normal section. All units that have Fights First essentially get to go first. In that first half.
So there are enough of those that they have, like, it's an entire section?
Yes.
Okay.
Because there are units who natively have Fights First. No, like, even when they're not charging. But every unit that charges, if they successfully charge, they have a temporary Fights First. That's like the charge buff. So that they have Fights First. So if you charged 8 units successfully, then if the other player doesn't have any Fights First on their team, you can just have all 8 of your guys attack at the same time. Normally, and this is in the instance, like, let's say you had nothing to charge, but you already have maybe 4 units in engagement range. They were already, like, right up in front of an enemy unit. It's going to go either way at that point. Where the defending player attacks once, then you attack once.
With one person? With
one unit, yes.
Okay.
So you guys would choose what you want to attack.
And that's only in the fight phase?
That's only in the fight phase. And that puts you in a position where you need to decide what fights are most important that I either get the first swing on or that I just obliterate this unit. I need to make sure they die. In the Fights First phase, it also can go back and forth, but that's only in the instance that you have Fights First models on the defending team. The people who are getting charged, if they have Fights First, they get to go first because it's always the defender fighting first.
Gotcha.
The defender chooses first, then attacker, defender, attacker, defender, attacker. Necrons recently they had Fights First models. They went away in like 9th edition. They recently, at the end of 10th edition, got a Fights First model again. So only with using that model.
Is he part of your core?
No. I own him.
I know.
I have them built. I have them built. I bought.
I just want to be so clear so everyone saw. He showed me his app, and he's like, all the ones that are lit up are the ones that I have. And I literally went through the entire thing. He has everything except for the ones that are literally like you cannot find them, or like you have to fake get them or something. But
I'm missing maybe 3 models, And yeah,
It just
one of
kept going.
them I
the
can't
list
get.
just kept going.
One of them, the Locust Lord, I can't like actually buy. I'd have to make it, and I'm. But then like the other two, it's just I haven't got them yet. Like maybe no reason to, but I haven't got them yet. Yes, and I own duplicates of a lot of them.
Yes.
But yes, the character in question is called the Necrosaur Armamentor. He's similar to the Illuminor, at least in base stats. He's not as tanky as him, but he plays kind of similarly, where he is a character unit that you want standing next to a bunch of infantry because he gives passive buffs to them,
Gotcha.
while also kind of being like a problem himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only model that has fights first in the army right now. So only in the instance of something charging him would he get the opportunity to still attack first.
So in the charge phase?
Mm-hmm. If something charged him, the attacker would now have charge bonus on that unit, but he has fights first. Sorry. Yeah, they would have fights first now because of the charge bonus, but he natively has fights first. So when we go to the fights first half of the fight phase, because the defender goes first and he has something that has fights first, you would be able to swing first. Only with him, but you'd be able to swing first. So even though they charged into you, you can clap first. And maybe take out models so that when he does swing into you, it's not as bad.
Gotcha.
10th edition, in my opinion, when it came to the app, didn't outline the phases very well, like in terms of fight phase and stuff like that. In my opinion, they didn't outline it very well. But in 11th edition in the app, it's outlined really nicely. So when we eventually play a match, like we can go through that, and it's super simple. Hello. But yeah, after when you're in the fights phase, after all fights first models have fought, then it's everyone else that's in engagement range but hasn't fought yet. Then you go back and forth. Then that would be the end of the turn. Fights phase would be done. Then it would go to the next. It would go to the other player.
Yeah. So it's move, shoot,
move, shoot,
charge, fight. Those are the phases.
Yes, there is one phase before move, which is the command phase.
Oh, okay.
Not a lot happens in that phase, and the things that do happen are specifically outlined. It's literally just, this is the beginning of the command phase. If you have any abilities that go at the start of your command phase, activate them, then they'd activate here. Then it goes to, like, you get your command points. Maybe, like, you get your command points, and you look to see, do you get any, like, points? Do you get any like score towards holding primary objectives or anything like that? That's where you get those. Then the next phase of that is literally, do you have any abilities that say they activate in the command phase but don't activate at the start or the end? This is where you activate them. And then the end of the command phase, where it's abilities that activate at the end of the command phase.
But it's all about abilities.
Yes, it's for the most part, yes. And they have it that way. Maybe they'll change it, but they have it that way just because there was a little bit of confusion, I think, in 10th edition, at least for me, where in your command phase, you wouldn't know exactly the order of events that some abilities could happen. Like Battle Shock, the Battle Shock step is also in the command phase. I think it's like right in the middle, but it's because of that, like, Necrons, their army rule is in their command phase, they heal. But in your command phase, you also have to take a battle shock test. If I had a Necron unit that was below half models, they would have to take a battle shock. But if I heal them and they heal above that, then they wouldn't. It's knowing which came first. That's the thing that like wouldn't always stick in my head. Now it is outlined in the app. I need to go over it again, but it's outlined in the app showing you exactly when and where you would activate each of your abilities. So there is no confusion. But yes, it would go command phase, movement, shoot, charge, fight. And then you repeat with the next person.
Gotcha. Would you, when you play someone, are you only paying attention to your rules and stuff like that? Or would you have their stack like set up so that way you can check if they're lying?
So in 10th edition, knowing what the other person was playing entirely came down to if they explained it to you, you were looking it up online, or they had their book like in front of you.
Mm.
And you were allowed to look at it. It really kind of came down, unless you want to go out of your way to look it up in the middle of the game, which means you're not focusing on the game. Unless you were willing to do that, you really just had to take their word for it and hope they explained it. Now, part of being like sportsmanlike in Warhammer is you want to give them a chance to understand your army so that they're not making like tactical fumbles purely because they didn't know what your unit did.
Like, oh, really? So you tell the other person like this dude is a sniper, this dude's a...
At the beginning of the game, you would explain like what your units do, but if you don't remember, it varies. Like maybe it's babying a little bit to literally go, hey, you just move next to them. If you stay there, you're going to fucking die. Maybe it's a little bit babying to do that. And it really just depends on, because you don't want to piss someone off by just like kind of backseat.
I mean, sometimes you do though.
Oh yeah. But like, you don't want to do that. You want them to have the information so they can make an informed decision, and they're not running their unit to their death just because they didn't know. But you also don't want them to be completely blind to how terrible a decision they're making.
So is this like for friends or like during a tournament? Like during a tournament?
Both, because in tournaments
really?
Too,
so like a tournament, you just sit there right at the beginning. You're like, hey, these are my pieces. This is how it runs.
These guys snipe, and if you deep strike within a certain distance of them, they get a free chance to shoot you.
Okay, so you give like the full kind of specs.
You just let them know this is what my army does. So if you end up doing what I just told you probably shouldn't do, I know that you made that for a reason, and you didn't just do that because you didn't know about the ability.
Gotcha.
Now, 11th edition, it's cleaner, because in 11th edition, right now with the app, you can't look at codexes that you haven't physically bought.
Okay.
Now, I own like 5 codexes because I'm stupid. But, and 2 of those codexes I haven't even started building an army for. But, in 11th edition now, they've incorporated like a familiar like UI as some of the tournament apps.
Mm-hmm.
So now in the same app that you make your list, you can now set up a game against someone else using like a code or just building their army in the app. And now you can look at the rules of their army on your app the same way you would look at your own army rules, as long as you're in like a match against them in the app.
Okay.
So it has been streamlined and just made like a lot more convenient now to look at your opponent's rules in the middle of a match. And that's now something, like it's significantly easier to do that than it is to have to ask, like, what the fuck are these guys' names? Oh, let me look it up on the wiki real quick. Oh, okay. Now, generally, if someone's lying about their abilities and stuff like that, you just don't play with them again. While competitive is competitive, and like you're trying to win, being like kind of a shitheel like that, people aren't going to want to play into you. And if people do end up playing into you and they know that about you, they can be just as silent. Warhammer is a huge fucking game. You're not going to be an encyclopedia of all the rules of all the army's units. So if you put yourself in that position, like it's not going to come out very favorably for you. No one army is like so much better than any of the others that you can just get away with like doing something like that. In casual games, it's even if it feels like a little bit of a babying thing, you do want to make sure that your opponent knows.
I expect to be babied. I expect.
I'm just saying,
hey, you don't want to make that move now. Can you tell me why, please?
I'm fully letting you know right now. If you move those guys right there, they are going to get shot right now. I'm going to shoot them right now. I know it's your turn. I'm going to activate an ability to shoot you right now. So it's things like that. In a casual game, you just want to make sure, because Tyler's gotten a little bit annoyed in the past because they've made a decision not remembering what one of my characters' units does, and then it really didn't work out. And it's like, that can be like kind of like soul crushing, especially, and this is the thing with Warhammer. Warhammer, expensive hobby. And for people who paint, you buy the unit, you build the unit, you paint the unit. You've put a lot of time into painting them. And if it's a new model that you want to play, you're like, I'm excited to get this on the table. And then it dies like that. And it's like, that's soul crushing. I've done that to Tyler. It was not good. They ended up surrendering like pretty quickly. And it was because they ran the unit into me. It didn't perform super well in that specific like attack phase. And then my clapback killed it. And it was just like, yeah. So,
do you feel good
about that? I mean, I'm like, awesome. My guys are fucking good.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, it's like, you want to play the game. So if you're putting your opponent in a situation where they're like super demoralized, especially super demoralized early in the game, you're just kind of screwing yourself out of playing a match.
Yeah.
Like, at the same time, you just want to be upfront also. Like, for example, the match Tyler and I are about to play, I picked the army that I made a list for. It's not super competitive, but I was like, I kind of want to run this army. I'll play it into you, Tyler. And Tyler didn't want to play into that army because he's playing Tyranids. They typically are really melee focused. Necrons generally are a shooting army. They have melee units. The army I made that I wanted to play happened to be mostly melee, which my melee is probably going to be better than theirs. Even though it's Tyranids, Necrons are futuristic, fucking the best fucking thing in the universe, and then Tyranids are kind of just like a walking flood form.
Gotcha. I tried explaining Necrons to Becca because I told her about us playing a match, and I don't know if I did it justice. I did my best. I was like, all right, let's see.
they are essentially Forerunners, but like 5 times stronger. They've been around way longer than Forerunners.
I think she made that connection. Yeah, I think she said that. I think she was
like Necrons had devices where it's like literally a 3D hologram where they go, oh, that planet, and the planet just fucking went away, like in the real universe. Now, granted, that wasn't considered a weapon; it was more of like a construction thing. But Necrons, the Silent King, right before he told everyone to take a really fucking long nap, he had a lot of their deadliest weapons either destroyed or locked up with dynasties he could trust, because he knew whenever they woke up, there was going to be a lot of infighting, because that's the Necrons or the Necron tier, they infought a lot. So he was like, I'm going to take the worst toys away from y'all. So if you do fight, it's not going to be a one-sided battle depending on whoever gets to this thing first. And that'll maybe discourage you guys from fighting in the first place, because you're going to take heavy losses now if you do. But yeah, no, Necrons are based.
So, all right.
Yes.
Warhammer goes through a lot of time, like the storyline.
Yeah.
Do the characters evolve throughout? Like, is 11th series the active part of the storyline? I know, like, they write books and stuff like that at all times, but
yeah. So there is. So, like Commander Titus, for example, which is like currently the poster child of Warhammer because he's a blue boy space marine. He's been in He's been in 2 video games. One of them came out like 8 years ago, but Space Marine 2, been in that main character. He's been in a couple cinematics recently, like I can't remember what it was called, but it was the like 10 episode like anthology of all the different video games. He was a main character in that Warhammer cinematic. His character has been developing. Generally, it's kind of static, but it depends on what characters you're looking at. Necrons, if you read the books, they do develop kind of, but they're also playing like a game like thousands of years, well, millions of years at this point, but like they develop over a long period of time. Like in the Infinite and the Divine, there are time skips of like 10 years because they're just like, oh, I'm gonna just focus on doing something for 10 years. So they develop a lot slower. I I haven't read too many Space Marine books because I don't really give a fuck about them. I've read a couple of Custodes books because Custodes are cool.
Mhm.
And they develop through their books. Now, as for developing like across editions, that really comes down to if Games Workshop is doing lore updates and stuff like that, or coming out with additional books that have had like characters in previous like media. Um, it really depends on them. They're not, to my knowledge, they're not trying to advance the timeline too quickly
Hmm.
because if you're like, there's a lot of shit going on in the Warhammer universe at any given time,
Yeah.
and if you're making an advancement here, if you make too like rapid of an advancement in the lore, people are going to wonder like, what the fuck is going on over here? Is
Yeah.
it the exact same still? This war they've been having for 40 years on this one planet, is it still going another 10 years later, or did they like was there some advancements made on that? So right now I would say probably like Titus is probably like the biggest example of a character getting development, other than like maybe the Primarchs, like Gilliman, the Ultramarine Blue Boy like leader.
Dude, what happened with the Henry Cavill Warhammer?
He's still doing it. He's still doing it.
What
But
the hell? Yeah, but I mean, it's been so long. What's going on?
it's a complicated thing. I kind of understand why it's taking so long because GW is very, very protective of their IP. Now, they're willing to work with Henry Cavill and they're willing to make a show with him, partially because he has a reputation of being a stickler for the lore and not just fucking doing whatever the fuck he wants. And he's really pushing for it. So they're working with him, but I think they're also having to navigate what are they going to write up? Like, what's the show or movie? I don't remember which it's going to be. What is it going to be about? Like, who's going to be the focus? Because these can be big things. Because the other thing with GW is, like, they're like some of their games, for example, some of their games take like 4 years to make. They have to make sure that what they have that they're including in the game isn't like compromising to the lore, or at least for the most part. Sometimes they they retcon something and people freak out, and it happens. But generally, from what I've noticed, they will try to stick to a lot of the lore they have made when they release new media. Because some things, like the show, are taking so long to come out, they have to make sure that what they're including is still relevant in the 5 years it takes to make the show. So I think it's being slowed down by that, making sure that the content of the show is relevant. They also have to make sure they're not compromising, or at least not compromising too much of their lore. And they have to figure out, like Henry Cavill, for example, if he's going to be in the show, what role is he going to play? Is he going to be like a Space Marine, a Blue Boy Space Marine? Is it even going to be about the Ultramarines? Or is it going to be about a different chapter of Space Marines? It's almost certainly going to involve the Imperium. There's no reason it's not. But does it involve Custodes instead? Because Henry Cavill is a big Custodes guy. Does it involve them instead? Is it a story about them dealing with some new threat or just like returning threat in a sector of the Imperium? And it's like, who do we involve? Is it going to be, because it's probably, after all this time, they're probably not making a show that's about the inner politics of the Imperium. It's probably not going to be a second prequel movie from Star Wars. They could do that because some of the books have a lot of politics, and there's a lot of inner politics, but that would probably be relatively boring.
That would be crazy.
Be relatively boring.
If they came out with
Warhammer politics, fans would love it.
That'd be crazy.
But they're probably trying to bring in new Warhammer fans. So, yeah, it'll probably involve a chapter of the Space Marines or a Custodes, more likely Space Marines, and it's probably going to involve at least one, maybe a couple of Xenos threats. Now, what threats does it involve? In 9th edition, Necrons were the main threat of that edition. In 10th edition, Tyranids were the main threat of that edition. In 11th edition, it's Orcs.
Oh, okay.
So right now, depending on when they started it, maybe they started doing this project when Tyranids were the main threat. Maybe the Tyranids are going to be the threat in that movie, or one of the threats in that movie, or show, whatever, that media. But maybe they were writing it with the understanding they were going to make orcs the main threat. So maybe that's what they were doing. Maybe that's what was taking them so long. And maybe that's like when it comes out, it's going to be orc related because 11th edition's orcs. I don't know. I hope it's Necrons, but Necrons tend to be. I've heard and kind of understand that Necrons tend to be a bad villain to write around because they are really fucking strong. And they kind of having them lose sometimes feels bad because a lot of the time they have a reason to win. They're way more technologically advanced.
Gotcha.
Their weapons are fucking terrible.
The plot
terrifying.
armor has to be thick for them
the plot armor needs to be kind of thick for the Ultramarines. Generally, the best thing they do to make Necrons lose is either a lot of their people were a little too sleepy when they woke up, so they're not able to muster a big enough defense fast enough, or maybe there's infighting. If you do infighting with the Necrons, you have to have the Necron POV, because otherwise you're just going to see them kind of sucking ass at fighting, and it's like, why are they doing that? Oh, it's because one of them is like trying to sabotage another house while they're doing that. So I don't know what they're going to do. I do hope it comes out soon.
Dude, it's been a while. I remember us starting to talk about it when this podcast first started.
Yeah, no. I have faith it's going to be good when it comes out. I'm hoping.
I hope so.
But
I really do.
Yeah, he's probably going to be an Ultramarine because they are the fucking poster child. That's another thing too. I think in the last couple of editions, it's been Ultramarines as like the box art versus alien threat. It's Blood Angels, a different chapter, the Children of Sanguinius. They are the poster of this edition. So who knows? Maybe he'll be a Blood Angel. I don't know. They have some really interesting lore. A lot of the chapters, different Space Marine chapters, all have interesting lore. Some of them I don't give a fuck about, but some of them I do, like the Salamanders, Blood Angels, Ultramarines.
Yeah.
So who knows?
If you could pick the topic, if you could pick the time period, the story, what do you have in mind? Or if it's just like a specific army that you're just like, they're just fucking mint.
I'll be honest. There's maybe 2 plots that I would be most interested in seeing. Let's say 3, honorary 3. I would really like to see a movie around the Horus Heresy, because that's a lot. That's probably the most pivotal moment in humanity's history in Warhammer. There's a lot of interesting characters during that time. Also, Sanguinius is alive. Vulcan is around. Vulcan being the Salamander's Primarch. A lot of really nice characters are all involved in this event. So I think it would be really interesting. Now, they made a movie or show, you would either have to excuse a lot of details, or it would be really fucking long. Because, Horus Heresy is like 50 bucks at least.
Yeah. I think I saw a YouTube, like 1 hour, someone just giving me like the main plot.
Let's skim through the plot of this.
That's exactly
1 hour.
What it was. He was like, in this book, they hit X, Y, Z. He was like, all right. And now in this book, they go.
Yeah, it's the Horus Heresy would probably be the thing I'd most want, but I understand that they're not going to do that. They're not going to do a show or movie about the event itself. They might do a show or movie eventually about a specific moment or series of moments during the heresy. The thing I'd most want, obviously, is for them to be against Necrons, because Necrons are fucking cool and awesome. The honorary mention is Tyranids. While Tyranids probably won't be the most interesting plot-wise on their own, I feel like they could spice it up. And because in Space Marines 2, the Ultramarines, they're like the first half of that game, you're fighting Tyranids, but you have personal plots of like what you're supposed to be doing. It's not just go kill the Tyranids. Tyranids are kind of just a wall of mass. It's like generally you're just trying to fight them to delay long enough for you to get like some valuable shit off planet. Um,
When Tyranids show up on our planet, is that like you're cooked?
it kind of
Just grab your stuff and go because like we can't
yeah.
stay here.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, they're on this world. We need to obliterate this world. It is gone. They are here. They are not going to leave. Like, and Tyranids are an attrition army. They will outnumber you always, and they will overpower you eventually. Now there have been hive fleets, to my knowledge, that have been like taken out, but that usually comes at like a massive fucking cost to the Imperium.
Does that translate well in game? Board game.
Yes. Tyranids, from my understanding, typically when you play them, their play style in 10th edition was get as many points as you could early game, because late game you were going to have a lot of your units killed, and you were just going to hope they couldn't catch up in points.
Okay.
Because while in lore they're just a never-ending assault, on tabletop you have a limited number of points you can send. So realistically, you have to do what you can with them. Now, Tyranids can very easily be made into a horde army, so you could get a lot of like models on that table. They're not going to be the most durable things ever, though. So it's really, again, like similar to how someone could make a list that has a lot of like anti-tank. If someone shows up with a list that has a lot of anti-chaff, then you might be fucked. Now, that's part of... While I use Reddit, the subreddit for a lot of Warhammer stuff, especially with 11th edition coming out, it's so much worse. You get a lot of people asking, is this army list good? Is this army list good? I'm playing against this army. Is this army list good? And aside from the fact that there are like 12 of those posts made every hour, the thing that makes it annoying is when someone asks that while also going, I'm playing against this army specifically. Is this list that I made tailor fit to face them? Is it good? And it's like, you shouldn't be making an army like that. You should be making an army that you think you could play into most other armies in a balanced way. If you're going into a Tyranid, if you're fighting into a Tyranid opponent, they're either going to bring a lot of monsters, or they're going to bring a lot of chaff, or a mix. If you go in, you're like, oh, they're bringing a lot of chaff, I'm just going to bring a lot of anti-chaff. Okay, maybe you beat them. Maybe you beat them because you bought a tailored army to face them specifically. But if you take that exact same army and you run into Custodes, you're fucked. You're fucked. And I think when it comes to making lists, that's one of the things that annoys me the most. Because, and I try to not do it when I'm like facing Tyler or Alec, or if I'm going into like competitive. Like the list I have, the Illuminators Court, it's probably the best list I could think of that is like a pretty even on everything. Like I have an answer to everything, or I have at least kind of an answer to everything, and I can try and play around and be a little flexible. I could, if I know like this latest edition is going to be really tank heavy, I could just try and have a lot of anti-tank, but the moment I run into a fucking player who's playing outside the meta, they're going to fuck me. And it's just good when you're making a list to just keep in mind what units accomplish what role, and if you have enough units of each role that you'd be able to kind of work around it. Like one big thing is, while there's primary objectives in the game, there are secondary objectives. And a lot of them, maybe not a lot of them, half of them tend to be just be at this spot or do an action over here. You want to have units in your list, you are cheap and can literally be used by you to go, okay, I have a secondary objective this turn where I need to be in the enemy's deployment zone. I'm going to put him back there just so I can get those secondary points. If he doesn't kill anything, he got those secondary points. If I put him back there and he kills some shit, awesome. But when you're making that list, you generally just want to try and make it with no enemy like list in mind, and it just covers your bases, or it plays to your strengths well enough that you can play around different armies. Warhammer's armies are skewed enough that there are going to be matchups you're not good into, and that's just the fact of the matter. Like Tyranids probably aren't going to perform super well into a Knights list because it's just a bunch of big, chonky metal boys. And Tyranids might have some anti-tank in their list always, but if you lose that anti-tank or that anti-tank's just not able to get enough done because it's a rolling game and they can miss, there are going to be instances where you're just going to lose, either because the dice rolls weren't there or because you were playing against a list that's very skewed in one direction. I don't even remember what the original comment was, but yes, with making lists, whenever you make your list, just I know you're not knowledgeable on like what you're playing into, so I don't think it's going to be a problem with you. But when you're making lists, don't have what the other person's playing in mind, or otherwise, it's not going to be a fun game either.
Yeah.
Like the army I made didn't have Tyler's list in mind. I made it before I even asked, like 2 weeks ago. But when I put that up, it was like, oh yeah, that kind of counters. Like it doesn't counter, but Tyranids melee is good into ranged armies. If I bring some melee units, my melee is going to be better. I don't want to shit on you like that. I'm not trying to bring a counter list. I will make another list. Bada boom. It's just you're trying to have fun, both in competitive games and not. Like you're trying to be sportsmanlike. And even if I lose, like even when I was losing a lot of my tournament games, playing against like nice people who were trying to be honest about the game, even though they're trying to win, like still made it like worthwhile. When I spent 9 hours at fucking fantasy playing.
Any upcoming tournaments?
No, and that's mainly because I haven't accumulated enough PTO. I'm going to Nashville at the end of July.
Nice.
Yeah. Next Wednesday, I will have accumulated enough PTO for that trip. And then I'll have none again.
What are you doing in Nashville?
Do you know Vinny, like Vsauce or whatever? Like he's a YouTuber. I don't know, like Michael here, fucking. That's all the shit he says. I think he's doing like a concert or something, or he dipped into music. I honestly don't know. What I just said could all be malarkey. The main thing is, like, a couple of my friends are going up there. They're like, "Hey, you want to go?" I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah.
Let's do it. So I'm just going up there, and hey, I'm gonna stop at the Warhammer store, probably buy something I don't need. Cause I got a 10th edition starter box at my home. Haven't opened. I just got the 11th edition starter box. I opened it, but I need to open it again to make sure that nothing's fucked up, because some people have been claiming the box showed up kind of fucked up. And I just pre-ordered a Tyranid box that'll be available. I put in my request for a pre-order. It's going to be up for pre-order this upcoming Saturday. That has a lot of fucking models in it. I have 3 boxes right there that are like 90 models. It's like, and then I got a bunch of other fucking boxes. I'm so fucked. So I'm probably going to end up buying something in Nashville and bringing it back and feeling like a retard.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's like, let's do it. I've been putting in the work at home these last couple days. I've been just churning out models, building them. I built a model today and last night. I built a unit of models today and last night that I haven't built in over a year, because it was one of my first models I built for Necron.
Yeah.
The fucking Death Marks, awesome dudes. Really like them in lore. Not as useful in tabletop, but they're probably one of the best uses of like secondary objective scoring, because they can just teleport in, they can snipe, and they can shoot anything. They get out of turn shooting if something teleports in next to them. So yeah, I built another unit of those because in the list I was running, I bought that like 2 days ago and then built it because the list I made into Tyler had 3 of those units and I only had 2. So, but yeah, no.
What else? What's next for your purchasing journey of Warhammer?
Well, right now I have Custodes boxes that I haven't built. That's another thing, by the way. I have a big box of those guys, but because they're high point, low model count armies, I realistically only have like 15 models to build,
Okay.
but they're worth a lot of points. So I have
What?
a lot of boxes of those.
Sorry, go ahead.
Custodes. No, you're good. You're good. Custodes. I have a bunch of Space Marine models to build, and I have a bunch of Tyranids models to build, and I still have the monolith that I bought over a year ago. I still haven't built that. Yeah, I feel like a fucking chud, but that's because I have to paint it while building it, and I'll eventually get that. What was your question you were going to ask?
I don't remember
Fuck.
now.
Past that though, past all the boxes I have bought, I'm possibly going to buy more Space Marine boxes because the list I'm building, I don't have all the models for. Of the models I have, I don't have all the models for that list. Then the 2 armies I was going to consider getting in after all of this building is Thousand Suns, which is a Chaos Space Marine, and Necrons are like Egyptian mummies. Thousand Suns are like Egyptian pharaohs. Very like, while looking at them in Warhammer universe, they look really different, but like their theme is Egyptian. So get into them because they're like space wizards.
Can you combine them together in an army?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Necrons in Thousand Suns, no, but also normal Space Marines in Thousand Suns, no. Because during the Horus Heresy, their legion, because they were legions back then, not chapters, their legion fought against humanity.
Oh, and
they turned against humanity.
That's a part of
yes. Thousand Suns is what became of that legion in the 30K, where now they are essentially dust. They're spirit dust. The normal low-level people are essentially spirit dust trapped in armor. And the more like psychically powerful Thousand Suns still have flesh bodies, but maybe some of them look a little fucked up. And then like it goes a little bit more than that. They also still have their Primarch, which if I get into it, I'm gonna get the Primarch because it would be cool to have a Space Marine chapter with a Primarch. But outside of that, I get the Tau. And the Tau are essentially Pacific Rim.
Okay.
You got your big boys, big mechanical boys with guns and fucking... They're mainly a shooting army. Some of them can be played melee, but they're mainly a shooting army, and the idea is you have smaller units up here that are going to look at an enemy unit and go, I spot that guy. That guy's spotted. Hey, big boy in the back, you now have a better chance of hitting him. That's kind of the thing. You have a bunch of chaff up front that hold the objectives and give your bigger, more deadlier units better chance of hitting and doing damage. And they're big mech boys. So that's probably what I'm going to go into because Michael has joked about borrowing my army to play because he bought nearly a 2,000 point army, played like one game, and then hasn't really played since then.
Dude, I love that. That's so
he got it. He got it much cheaper because he bought it pre-built, pre-painted.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it was significantly cheaper than if he bought it just.
I bet that has to be one of the reasons why you don't keep going is if you don't go through the effort. Yeah. I definitely like if you like went through the steps and go through it, you would definitely play more than once.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, he bought it because I was getting into it, and he wanted to get into it as well because of that. But he wasn't really vibing with it, and partially because it's a 4-hour experience of remembering rules.
Yeah,
and the game's still occasionally not going well for you. And Tau kind of play a very specific way. They have a couple units I understand that are in melee, but like they are a shooting army. They are. Go fuck yourself if you're playing into like a super melee focused army because they're going to run up the board really quickly, get in your face, and then you're probably just done. So if you can't blow them off the board before they get up to you. So yeah, but those, Thousand Suns and Tau are probably going to be my next armies to get into. And yeah, currently I'll have shitload of Necrons. Custodes army that I need to fully get built, but I have 2,000 points of them. I think I have every model that I was going to buy. I just need to get them built. Salamander Space Marines. So Vulcan's Legion. Vulcan's not dead. He just is an absent father. And he left and he was like, hey guys, if you collect the 9 Dragon Balls, I'll come back. is essentially his thing. And Tyranids. I'm building the Tyranids right now, even though I have models from all three. I feel like if I build like Tyranids and then like Space Marines, I'm gonna fucking. I need to build one thing to get one other army up and online. Then I can go to the next one. So that's currently where I am. It's fucking idiot. I gotta buy shelf. I gotta buy another like display case, another display shelf. Because it's too many models. I'm building too many models. Running out of fucking space.
Is it? Do you keep them all in your room, or has it taken over the house yet?
I don't want to pollute the house with my models, especially because I like them in my room where I can see them most often. If something happens to them, I can see that. If I put them if I start like decorating the fucking shelves upstairs in the living room, if Henry fucking like knocks into it or eats one, I'm not gonna know till he shit it out. So I just I keep them where I can spot them and hopefully notice something happens to him.
And for those who don't know who Henry is,
yes, Henry is my mom's dog. I don't remember what breed because I don't remember stuff like that. But he is a menace. He's a small, muscular menace, and sweetest dog ever. No offense, but he is a terrorist, and he will fucking eat anything, especially a small plastic model that is perfectly sized. Yeah, I think the next couple things I'm going to be building are like Tyranid warriors, and then I'm actually outside of like that big starter box for Tyranids. I have almost no boxes left of Tyranids to build. I have Tyranid warriors in front of me, and then I have a big boy.
About how many points of Tyranids do you have?
Over 2,000 for sure.
Oh, okay.
Probably around 3,000, and that's before this pre-order box.
How many playable armies do you have? Like species, I guess. Is that how you categorize them?
In terms, armies. In terms of what I've bought and not built, I probably have enough points for 4.
For 4 different.
Now, Custodes and Space Marines, I don't have enough built. And Custodes, I could make a list. Like the lists I've made, I could build, and I have the models, I think, to make the list that I've made. Space Marines, the list I made, I'm missing a lot of models. Some of which are big vehicles, which I don't have to worry about painting midway because they're just fucking tanks. You just paint them on the outside.
When you make your lists, what's your thought process? Like you come to a new army, you don't know a lot about them. What's your...
So right now, when I've Tyranids, for example, I haven't played a game as them yet. When I was making a list coming to that army, I first thought, what are the models that I like? What are the models that I think are the coolest? And for me, that's Tyranid warriors, and that's partially because in Space Marine 2, when you're fighting the Tyranids, the Marine equivalent that you run into often is Tyranid warriors. They're as big, if not slightly bigger than Space Marines, and whenever you're fighting, generally they are the threat you focus on first, and not all the smaller gaunts. Because the smaller gaunts, you can shoot up a bunch, but that Tyranid warrior will like fuck you up if you let him. So I was like, okay, I want to make a list around these guys. Okay, let's look. Their detachment that plays around them is the shittiest detachment. And when they made the points distribution for all the detachments, most, if not all detachments, most of them were given 2 points. Already existing detachments were given 2 points, or if they were really, really good, they were given 3. Very, very few existing detachments were given 1 point. The one with Tyranid warriors was given 1 point. It is just considered, I think, one of the worst Tyranid detachments. So I was like, oh, fuck it. We'll still do it.
Yeah.
And really all it does is it just makes them tankier. It gives them an invuln save. So now I have at minimum a 33% chance on succeeding on taking no damage. And it just caps that out. So it'll never be worse than that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make a list around these guys. And from there, I tried to fill in the gap and get additional models that I either think looked cool or they fulfilled a purpose. Like there's one model called a Biovore, and it looks like a crab with a cannon on its back. Its use is literally just going to be to sit in my home objective in the back of the map and just fire off indirect shots. And either they changed it and made it harder to do that, because previously it was a 50-50 chance you missed. Now it's like an 83% chance you miss, unless you have a unit on your army who has visible range of him. If they do, then it becomes a 50-50 chance again, I think. It just prevented you from literally going, my guy on this side of the map, who can't see your dude all the way over here, I'm going to have him shoot. 50-50 chance he hits and stuff like that. Yeah. Now, the Biovore also, instead of shooting to kill something, he can shoot to spawn a little sperm. And that sperm I could use for secondary objectives. If I need a unit in the enemy deployment zone, maybe I just like shoot a sperm over there and have him sit there, and I'll get points for that. And I don't have to deep strike or anything or teleport anything valuable over there. And like that's kind of the use case I'm gonna have for the Biovore. So like that's an example of when I'm making this list. Well, this has nothing to do with Tyranid Warriors. I need something that's going to sit on my home objective in case it's useful. Sometimes, like when you're starting up a match and you're picking your primary missions, sometimes the home deployment gives no value to you. It only gives value to your opponent. So sometimes you could just fuck off and like say, okay, it doesn't matter to me. If you do that though, too much, you give the opponent easy access to just take it for free points. Or sometimes it does matter to you, in which case you got to have something in your list that you can mainstay to sit there, which the Biovore typically consider that. So have him for that. Past that, you want leaders that either are really good or really cool. I like the Neurotyrant, big fucking brain boy. With Battle Shocks being made better as a thing, him being on the table makes the Battle Shock roll for every single enemy unit worse. For him just being on the table when I do Shadow in the Warp, it's worse. Other than that, he's a really cool model, and he's kind of deadly. So just run him in and have him do shit. And then outside of that, it's just like filling out, trying to have like enough units on the table that you can either smother the enemy or like hold primary objectives. I don't think my Tyranid list is very good. And that's probably one of the things that sucks about if you're trying to make a good list off rip when you haven't played that army before. Probably not going to. You're most likely not going to make a list unless you're just Googling and looking up best lists for this army or whatever. Unless you're doing that, you're probably not going to make a very functional, good list.
Yeah.
So you're going to spend your money on this army. You're going to build it. If you're a schmuck, you're going to paint it. And then you're going to play it, and you're going to realize, wow, this army performs like shit. I've just spent hundreds of dollars on this army, and now I'm either going to keep it because I like the units, or maybe I like the units, but I want it to be a little bit more well-rounded. I'm going to drop some more fucking money to get other models that make more sense. So generally, when starting an army, you should look for a list that you like, just models that you like, and then past that, shoot yourself in the foot because it's probably not a functional army. So you're either going to have to choose this list is for fun, or if you want to try and make a competitive list, you'll have to make adjustments then. If you're playing competitively, you've probably already made the decision that you're going to be spending more money on the army past.
Like you need to be good at this point. You
need to be good. If you're trying to play competitively, you're not going to buy a maximum of 2,000 points and then just call it there. You're gonna do more than that. But yeah, I focus with the models you think are coolest, and then choose a detachment that probably benefits those models the most, and then just try and fill out the army for like the secondary objectives, or the holding primary, or just like all these other use cases that are generally good. Despite me having these other armies, I don't know if I'm going to play any of them other than Necrons competitively, at least not for the foreseeable future.
Gotcha.
I'm probably just going to play them casually because it'll make, I think, Tyler and Alec are getting bored of the fact that I am always Necrons because they have 2 or 3 armies that they can play. They give me variety. I don't give them variety. And also, my army's annoying to play into sometimes because I can give a lot of things invuln saves and just make it so, hey, most of what you're shooting at, there's a 50-50 chance it does nothing. Have fun. So, yeah. I'm hoping to get these armies built so that I can provide them with a little bit more variety and a little bit more fun and play those armies because those armies look cool as shit. Part of it, though, is that painting. I'm probably going to need to paint them. I'm going to need to paint them eventually. Got to get around to that shit because I am tired of looking at the gray fucking mass of units. I need to at least prime them so they aren't gray anymore.
Yeah,
but
the gray's just killing you.
It is. It is. It's also just a thing of like there are so many small things that put me off from painting. One of which is just, I have to prime it. The weather sucks. It's not good weather for priming. I'm gonna go out there and prime, and either the primer's not gonna stick very well, or it's gonna look very brittly, depending on what the weather conditions are. So that's like one of the first things that stops me is, weather's ass, not painting today.
Do you only paint outside?
No, but you should prime your models before you paint them, and depending on the weather conditions, the spray can for the prime is the primer's not going to come out very well.
Gotcha.
If it's like way too humid or not humid enough, there's an ideal range of weather conditions that you want to prime models in, so that when it dries, they don't look like shit. Past that, then it's just sitting down painting them. I have 5 models that are primed. But then you get to the laziness step, and it's like, fuck. Just I don't find the most joy in painting, but I do want my army to look good.
Yeah.
And I also am not willing to spend money to have someone else paint them because I don't want to spend that money.
Yeah.
And because I don't want to do that and then them paint it a way I don't like. So I gotta get around to that. But
that makes sense.
Fuck me. Yeah.
All right, you ready to call it?
I'm ready to call it. Alrighty then. Well, thank you for tuning in to Key Rants. I'm sorry it was all Warhammer, but I'm not actually that sorry. I fucking love Warhammer. This has been Keaton and Manny, and I hope you all have a good night.
Have a great night, everybody.
Bye.